What if the very snacks you think are keto are secretly blocking your fat burn? What if you could snack without spiking insulin, without breaking ketosis, and without slowing your weight loss? Today, we're diving into the top 5 true zero carb snacks that protect your metabolism, stabilize your blood sugar, and keep your body in fat burning mode. Because ketosis isn't just about low carbs, it's about low insulin. What if the snack sitting in your hand right now, the one you were told is healthy, keto, even guilt-free, is the very thing silently shutting down your body's ability to burn fat? What if the problem isn't your discipline, not your genetics, not even your calories, but something far more invisible, far more powerful? Your insulin? Because ketosis is not just about cutting carbs. That's the surface level advice. That's what everyone hears. But beneath that simple idea is a deeper biological truth that most people never learn. And it's the reason so many people feel stuck, frustrated, and confused. Your body doesn't care about trends. It doesn't care about labels. It responds to chemistry. And when insulin rises, fat burning stops. Not slows down, stops. Every time you eat, even a small snack, your body makes a decision. Burn the fuel coming in or burn the fat you've stored. And that decision is controlled by hormones, not willpower. Insulin is the master switch. When insulin is low, your body unlocks stored fat, breaks it down, and turns it into ketones, clean, powerful fuel that your brain and body can use. This is ketosis. This is where fat loss happens. This is where mental clarity improves, hunger stabilizes, and energy becomes consistent. But the moment insulin rises, that entire system shuts off. And here's the part that most people don't realize. It doesn't take a lot. A small spike, a harmless bite, a snack that looks innocent on the surface. That's all it takes to flip the switch. And suddenly, your body is no longer burning fat. It's burning incoming fuel and storing the rest. Now think about the modern habit of snacking. We've been conditioned to believe that eating every few hours is healthy, that snacks keep metabolism active, that if you feel hungry, you should immediately eat something to fix it. But what if that constant eating is the very thing keeping you stuck? Because every snack, even low-carb ones, can trigger insulin to some degree. And if you never give your body time with insulin low, you never give it the chance to access stored fat. You stay in a constant cycle of burning what you just ate instead of burning what you want to lose. This is why so many people say, I'm doing keto, but I'm not losing weight. They've cut carbs, yes, but they haven't controlled insulin. They're still snacking, still triggering small insulin responses throughout the day, still keeping their body in a state where fat burning is paused more often than it's active. And the most dangerous part, these snacks are often marketed as keto-friendly. Protein bars, low-carb cookies, packaged snacks labeled with bold promises. But labels don't control your metabolism. Hormones do. Many of these foods contain hidden ingredients, sweeteners, fillers, even small amounts of carbohydrates that can spike insulin more than you expect. And even when carbs are low, frequent eating itself can keep insulin elevated. So the problem isn't just what you eat, it's how often you eat it. Your body was never designed to graze all day. There were times of eating and times of not eating. And it's in those periods of not eating when insulin drops that your body does its most powerful work. It heals, it repairs, it burns fat. But when you snack constantly, you interrupt that process over and over again. It's like trying to drain a bathtub while the faucet is still running. Now, this doesn't mean all snacks are bad. It means the wrong snacks, used the wrong way, can keep you stuck because there's a difference between eating strategically and eating reactively. Strategic eating supports your metabolism. Reactive eating feeds the cycle. The goal isn't to eliminate food. The goal is to create an environment in your body where insulin stays low long enough for fat burning to actually happen. And that requires awareness because hunger isn't always what it seems. Sometimes it's habit, sometimes it's boredom, sometimes it's a blood sugar crash caused by previous food choices. And when you respond to every signal with a snack, you train your body to expect constant fuel instead of learning how to use its own reserves. This is where true metabolic flexibility comes in. The ability to switch between burning glucose and burning fat efficiently, smoothly, without struggle. But that ability is lost when insulin is constantly elevated. Your body forgets how to burn fat because it never has to. It becomes dependent on incoming food, and that's when cravings intensify. Energy crashes become normal, and fat loss feels impossible. But when you begin to reduce snacking, when you allow insulin to drop, something changes. At first, it's uncomfortable. Your body is used to quick fuel. It signals hunger more aggressively. But if you stay consistent, if you give it time, your body adapts. It remembers. It starts accessing stored fat again. It produces ketones. Hunger becomes quieter. Energy becomes stable. And suddenly, you're not controlled by food anymore. You're fueled by your own biology. This is the shift that changes everything. Not a new diet, not a new product, a new understanding. Because when you realize that every bite has a hormonal consequence, you start making different choices. You stop asking, is this low carb? And you start asking, what will this do to my insulin? That one question can transform your results. Because fat loss is not just about what you eat, it's about what your body is allowed to do between meals. And if insulin never drops, fat burning never begins. So the next time you reach for a snack, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this fueling my progress or delaying it? Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your metabolism is not eat, to give your body space, time, a chance to do what it was designed to do: burn fat, heal, reset. And when you combine that understanding with the right kinds of foods, foods that don't spike insulin, foods that support satiety, foods that keep your body in a fat burning state, you create a system that works with you, not against you. You stop fighting cravings, you stop chasing results, and you start seeing real, sustainable change. Because your body was never broken. It was just responding to the signals you were giving it. Change the signals, and you change the outcome. And sometimes that change starts with something as small as a snack. What if the foods you've been avoiding are actually the ones your body has been waiting for? What if the key to unlocking fat burning, stabilizing your energy, and finally breaking free from constant cravings isn't eating less, but eating smarter? Because in a world flooded with low-fat labels, calorie counting, and endless diet rules, one truth has been quietly buried beneath the noise. Your body runs best when insulin stays low, and zero-carb foods are one of the most powerful ways to make that happen. This isn't a trend. This isn't a hack. This is biology. Every time you eat carbohydrates, your body breaks them down into glucose. That glucose enters your bloodstream, and within minutes, your pancreas releases insulin, a hormone designed to move that sugar out of your blood and into your cells. But insulin doesn't just store sugar, it blocks fat burning. And the higher your insulin, the harder it becomes for your body to access stored fat. Now, imagine a different scenario. You eat foods that contain virtually no carbohydrates, no glucose spike, minimal insulin response. Your blood sugar remains stable, your hormones stay calm, and your body stays in fat burning mode. This is the quiet power of zero-carb foods. They don't fight your metabolism. They work with it. They create an internal environment where your body is no longer forced to constantly manage sugar and is finally free to burn fat. And when that shift happens, everything begins to change. Your hunger becomes quieter, not because you're forcing yourself to eat less, but because your body no longer rides the roller coaster of blood sugar spikes and crashes. Your energy becomes steady, not fueled by quick bursts of glucose, but by a consistent supply of fat-derived fuel. And your brain, your most energy-demanding organ, begins to run on ketones, a cleaner, more efficient source of energy that many researchers now associate with improved mental clarity and focus. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think zero carb means restriction, limitation, deprivation. In reality, zero carb foods are some of the most nutrient dense, satisfying, and metabolically supportive foods you can eat. Take eggs, for example. A single egg contains high quality protein, essential fats, and nutrients like choline that support liver function, a key organ in fat metabolism. Studies have shown that eggs can increase satiety hormones and reduce overall calorie intake later in the day, not because of willpower, but because your body feels truly nourished. Then there's beef jerky when it's done right, not the sugar-coated processed versions lining store shelves, but clean, simple jerky with no added sugars or fillers. It delivers protein in a compact form, helping maintain muscle mass while keeping insulin relatively stable. And that matters more than most people realize, because muscle isn't just about strength or appearance. It's metabolically active tissue. It helps regulate blood sugar, supports insulin sensitivity, and plays a critical role in long-term fat loss. Now consider hard cheeses. Rich, dense, and satisfying, they provide fats that slow digestion and keep hunger under control. Their near zero carbohydrate content makes them ideal for maintaining ketosis, but there's nuance here. Overconsumption can still lead to excess protein intake, which in some cases may slightly raise insulin. So the power isn't just in the food itself, it's in how you use it, strategically, intentionally, with awareness. Then come olives, small, simple, and often overlooked, yet packed with monounsaturated fats and polyphenols that support heart health and reduce inflammation. Inflammation, by the way, is one of the silent drivers of insulin resistance. When inflammation rises, your cells become less responsive to insulin. Your body compensates by producing more. And over time, that cycle can lead to metabolic dysfunction. Zero-carb foods like olives don't just avoid that problem. They help calm it. And then there's one of the most misunderstood snacks of all, pork rinds. Often dismissed, even judged, yet from a purely metabolic standpoint, they offer something rare: zero carbohydrates, a satisfying crunch, and a way to replace the sensory habits tied to high-carb foods like chips. Because let's be honest, part of eating isn't just biological, it's psychological. It's texture, sound, routine. And when you remove carbs entirely without replacing those elements, the diet becomes harder to sustain. Zero-carb foods don't just support your metabolism, they support your behavior. They make the transition possible. But the real transformation happens beneath the surface. When you consistently choose foods that keep insulin low, your body begins to shift. At first, it's subtle. You notice you're not as hungry between meals. You don't think about food as often. Your energy doesn't crash in the afternoon. Then, over time, the deeper changes begin. Your body increases its ability to oxidize fat. Your mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside your cells, become more efficient. Your reliance on constant glucose decreases. This is metabolic flexibility, the ability to seamlessly switch between fuel sources depending on availability. And it's something many people have lost. Years of high-carb eating, constant snacking, and elevated insulin have trained the body to depend on glucose as its primary fuel, while fat storage continues to grow. But zero-carb foods begin to reverse that pattern. They lower the noise, they quiet the hormonal chaos. They give your body the signal it's been missing. There is no emergency. There is no constant influx of sugar. It's safe to burn fat. And once your body believes that, everything changes. But there's one more truth that can't be ignored. Zero-carb foods are powerful, but they are not magic. If used incorrectly, if eaten constantly, mindlessly, without structure, they can still slow your progress. Because even without carbs, frequent eating can keep insulin elevated just enough to limit fat burning. So the goal isn't to replace high-carb snacks with zero-carb snacks and continue the same habits. The goal is to change the pattern entirely, to eat with intention, to allow space between meals, to give your body time in a low insulin state, because that's where the real work happens. That's where fat is burned. That's where healing begins. And zero carb foods are simply tools to help you get there, to make the journey sustainable, to reduce the struggle, to support your biology instead of fighting it. This isn't about perfection, it's about alignment, aligning your choices with how your body actually works. Because when you do that, you stop relying on willpower. You stop chasing short-term results, and you start building a system that works quietly, consistently, powerfully. A system where hunger doesn't control you, where energy doesn't fluctuate wildly, where fat loss becomes a natural byproduct of the environment you've created inside your body. And it all begins with a simple shift. Choosing foods that don't spike insulin, choosing foods that support fat burning, choosing foods that allow your body to finally do what it was designed to do. Because the truth is, your body has always known how to burn fat. It just needed the right conditions. And sometimes those conditions start with something as simple and as powerful as zero carb food. What if the reason you're not seeing results isn't because you're doing keto wrong, but because you're using the right tools in the wrong way? What if the snacks you rely on to stay on track are quietly slowing you down? Because the truth most people never hear is this: yet snacking is not a necessity, it's a strategy. And when used without intention, even the cleanest, zero carb foods can become obstacles instead of solutions. Your body was never designed to eat all day. For most of human history, food wasn't constant. It came in waves, periods of eating, followed by long stretches of not eating. And it's in those stretches, those quiet metabolic gaps, that your body does something extraordinary. It burns fat, not because you forced it to, but because you gave it no other option. But in today's world, that natural rhythm has been completely disrupted. We wake up and eat. We snack mid-morning. We eat again at lunch. Another snack in the afternoon, dinner. And sometimes even late night eating, from the moment we open our eyes to the moment we go to sleep, insulin is elevated. And when insulin is elevated, fat burning is shut down. This isn't opinion, this is physiology. Insulin is a storage hormone. Its primary role is to move energy into cells and prevent stored energy from being released. So as long as insulin is present, your body is in storage mode. Now think about what happens when you snack, even on zero-carb foods. Yes, you may avoid a blood sugar spike. Yes, you may stay technically in ketosis. But every time you eat, your body still responds. Insulin still rises, even if only slightly. And if those small rises happen all day long, your body never fully enters the deep, sustained, fat-burning state where real progress happens. You stay in the middle, not gaining, but not losing, busy, but stuck. This is the trap, because it feels like you're doing everything right. You've cut carbs, you've chosen better foods, you've avoided sugar, and yet the results don't match the effort. And the missing piece is not what you're eating, it's how often. Because fat loss doesn't happen during meals. It happens between them. It happens when insulin drops low enough for your body to finally access stored fat, break it down, and use it for energy. And that process takes time, not minutes, hours, which means if you're constantly interrupting that window with snacks, you're constantly resetting the clock. You're never giving your body the chance to go deep enough, long enough to make a difference. This is why strategic eating changes everything. Because instead of reacting to every hunger signal, you start understanding it. You start asking, is this true hunger or just a habit? Is this my body asking for fuel or my brain responding to a routine? Because not all hunger is created equal. There is biological hunger, the kind that builds slowly, that comes with physical signals, that doesn't demand a specific food. And then there is conditioned hunger, the kind triggered by time, stress, boredom, or even just seeing food. And when you respond to both the same way, with constant snacking, you blur the line between need and habit. But when you pause, when you create space, something shifts. At first, it's uncomfortable. Your body is used to constant input. It expects food, it signals hunger more frequently. But this isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of adaptation. because your body has been trained to rely on incoming energy instead of stored energy. And when you remove that constant supply, it has to relearn how to access fat. And that takes time, but if you stay consistent, if you resist the urge to fill every gap with food, your body begins to change. Hunger becomes less urgent, cravings begin to fade, energy becomes more stable, and something powerful happens. Your body starts trusting itself again. It starts tapping into stored fat, not as a last resort, but as a primary fuel. This is when fat loss becomes effortless, not easy, but natural, because you're no longer fighting your biology. You're working with it. And this is where zero carb snacks find their true purpose, not as a constant companion, but as a strategic tool, a bridge, something you use when needed, not something you depend on. Because there will be moments, long days, unexpected schedules, social situations, where eating a full meal isn't possible. And in those moments, a zero carb snack can protect your progress. It can prevent a blood sugar crash. It can stop you from reaching for high carb options. It can stabilize your system just enough to carry you through. But the key is this: it's intentional, not automatic, not emotional, not constant, because the goal is not to snack better. The goal is to snack less. To reduce the frequency of insulin spikes, to extend the time your body spends in a low insulin fat burning state, because that's where the transformation happens, not in the act of eating, but in the absence of it. And when you begin to understand that, your entire approach changes. You stop chasing fullness. You start valuing metabolic space. You stop fearing hunger. You start recognizing it as a signal, not an emergency. And this is where control returns. Because for the first time, you're not reacting, you're choosing. Choosing when to eat, choosing why to eat, choosing how your body responds. And over time, those choices compound. Your insulin levels stabilize, your body becomes more efficient at burning fat, your dependence on constant food decreases, and the results you've been chasing begin to appear. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but consistently. And that consistency is what creates lasting change, because quick results can fade. But metabolic health, once restored, becomes your foundation. So the next time you feel the urge to snack, don't just reach for food. Pause. Listen. Ask yourself, is this helping me move forward or keeping me in place? Because sometimes the most powerful strategy isn't what you eat. It's what you choose not to eat. And in that space, in that silence between meals, your body does its most important work: burning fat, restoring balance, and becoming what it was always designed to be.